Thank you, Madam President. I will need guidance in a second. I intend to lift from the table Senate Resolution number 117 during the course of today's meeting. But with that said, Madam President, I like to put things in words, right? Put them down. I didn't have much time to put this together. It is what it is. But I'm trying to stay on task. It's an important topic. Madam President, I can assure you, I did not plan to rise today in disbelief or bewildered with anger. But I can assure you I was earlier. I have lost many battles on this floor, and I've tried to accept them with grace, and I have. But today, while I was enjoying a wonderful conversation with the men of Alpha, I was summoned to a meeting by Senator Bryan Townsend. I was hopeful that the meeting with Senator Townsend would have a positive conversation about the resolution I was to present to the Senate on Thursday, centered around this very topic. A resolution that many had spent months, in fact, I introduced this idea last year, working on. A resolution that focused on the classroom educator and the children who simply want a safe environment for learning. A resolution that gives parents a voice to say to legislators, our classrooms and hallways are out of control, and we demand action. I am thankful to the members of both sides of the aisle, including the chairs of both the House and Senate Education Committees, who helped craft and draft the resolution, the language, the words that I'll present later. When I was asked to change many parts of the original draft, I said yes. However, when I was told by the majority leadership that I had to eliminate the minority party from having an option to choose someone to represent us on the task force, I said no. When I was told to remove the word discipline, I said no. You're dancing around it. When I was told that leadership and not the task force members could choose who the chairs would be, I said no. That was it. Let me say that again because that matters. I won't belabor it, but I hope you heard what I said. This is where it gets disappointing as I come to the resolution. To say the very least, the meeting I referenced with Senator Townsend, a meeting requested less than 2 hours before today's session, was not for discussion, but to tell me that a competing draft, and I say that lightly, it's not a draft, it's here today. It was a demand. You get on board or you get run over. Those are my words. And I call that horse crap. This is a bright example of what's wrong with this place. And I mean that sincerely. Instead of helping our kids, we worry about who gets credit or who's in control. And it's a disservice to those who put us in the seats we occupy on their behalf, and we should expect more from us. But I guess not. Madam President, I will not be voting on this resolution because I don't agree to the terms. I'm not going to play this game. I hope the meeting, I hope that folks listen outside these hallways, and I hope that members of the other side at least consider what it is that I said. The two resolutions are different. It's what I explained to my colleague a second ago. They're similar. They're cousins. But they're not the same. And I truly believe that the one that will not be mine, but will be ours, will be better. Thank you. It's great. I'm going to walk through a couple of the things that we're saying. We'll start with the first one, discipline. What was asked to remove discipline in the title, my friend, that's what was asked, and I said no, because I don't want to dance around it. It does a disservice to what we are trying to get at. It disappoints me that you use the term segregate. That is absolutely not what is done. What is being done is recognizing right now that we have a very, very small percentage of individuals, and I'm talking less than 10 at times in an entire class at school, who are taking over the school and the classrooms. And if we have to, in order to protect the classroom instructor and the kids in that room, provide an alternative location within that actual space, then yes, that's what I stood for. I lived it. The first 10 years I taught was at Polytech High School. We were the anti-school. Every school in the county handed out applications to what they deemed to be their least desirables. And they ended up at our doorsteps because we needed numbers. And they were the best 10 years I've ever had. And to this day, I count some of those now grown folks who I've taught their kids as some of my closest friends. And what they routinely say is, you are the structure we were craving. You are the discipline we needed. We had the same traumas then that we do now. You think these things are invented in the last 3 years? They're not. What's lost is we've lost control. Because we agree to your terms and the words you use as if they sound good. And I don't think they do. So we covered those two things. That segregation thing bothers me. When it comes to Bonini, I have not stood on the floor and said that this group on the other side isn't willing to sponsor things. You are. In fact, if you look at the numbers, this side, I'm told, has a bipartisan support of about 80% of the pieces of legislation that you bring through to this floor. We focus on the 20%, but forget the fact that we routinely vote yes. And many times it's unanimous. Understand that. That should be said. So no one questioned bipartisanship or some Bonini bill. And for you to say that I had the opportunity to sponsor this, your legislation, is laughable. It was 2 hours ago. It wasn't an offering, it was a demand. Take it or leave it. You can take it any way you want. I respect the fact that the folks back here are challenged with what you can say because of the two up front. But that is what it is. You don't have to like it. I've been told, better be careful. Because you got quite a few pieces of legislation that you might want to get through. Hold them all up. Hijack them all. I ask you to do that if that is what is in you to do. But I don't think it is. I don't think so. I think you're better than that. I think you can stand up to folks and you can think for yourself. And this bill that I have coming up is better. It has more spots for educators in our classroom and people that are connected away from the bureaucracies. That's why it's better. It offers the opportunity to meet at night and go directly to the people that we're trying to talk to. Get away from this hall. That's what it does. Now we can go back and forth. How about we just let it ride and agree to disagree? Because if you challenge what I say, I'm going to stand up again. And that'll be up to you to decide. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. It is not lost on me the appearance of childlike behavior in this room. Fighting over two fleas, fighting over who owns a dog. It is what it is. I would do a disservice to the folks who worked on this if I did not at least stand here and talk about the merits. Those folks look away, drift away, and that's all we do. This bill is different. This bill is 3 pages. The one you voted on is 5, which is typical of what we do when we try to overcook things. This bill, the one that I have, the resolution I should say, has in it a significant increase in the number of representatives in our classrooms with pure intent to make sure that we get it right. That's what's in this one that's different than this one. And that should matter. I would love to tell you all the differences, but I remind you, I learned of this a couple hours ago, and if you recall, the governor had a speech to give. So there wasn't much time to respond. There would have been had we made a simple decision to vote on it on Thursday, which is when I asked for mine to be voted on. That wasn't political at all, was it? There was no deliberate attempt to jump in front of me, was there? But I digress. I want to make sure you understand the key differences as I understand them, without acknowledging everything that's in this, the one we just approved. The most obvious is it's 5 pages. Separating that, the most obvious is that the one that I presented, I can only presume mirrors the other one in some way, went out of its way to specifically enable classroom instructor to have a say-so. Because those, my folks, those people are the ones that are really hung up right now and asking us for a solution. So I won't waste any more of your time. There's no reason to. You know, full of sound and fury signifying nothing. Something I learned in school. And I get it. What I will tell you is this. I hope to join my colleagues in voting yes for this. I recognize it's not likely that it goes through and passes on both sides. If it did, great. That would really force us to have a conversation, which I would have welcomed. But at the end of the day, because I've been in this situation before, whether it's coaching or legislating, I don't have to win. I don't get to take my ball and go home. I want to win. That doesn't make me take my ball and go home, because the fight's too important. If I don't win this one, yeah, I'm not quitting. I'll be there. I may not like it, but it is what it is.